Welcome to the Snow West Show. I'm Ryan Harris. Today's show is brought to you by Skidoo. Skidoo Snowmobiles. If you just have a few days left. You got until April 2nd. A few days left to go spring check a 2025 Skidoo snowmobile. There's a lot of cool new stuff across the lineup. Mountain sleds, crossovers. That's what we're going to talk about today specifically is the crossover, the backcountry. There's a lot of cool new stuff that make the 2025s the best Skidoos yet, for sure. And we're going to talk about the new backcountry here in a second. We're going to get into the RS front end, the new ski. This year, the backcountry is available with the 850 E-Tech Turbo R with water injection. Really cool stuff. That thing is a screamer. I got a little chance to ride it. But yeah, you've got until April 2nd to get hold of your Skidoo dealer or go online to Skidoo and put your customize your sled and put your spring check order in. We're going to jump in now, and we're going to take a closer look at the 2025 Skidoo backcountry, particularly the XRS. We're going to talk about the new stuff with that model. First off, you've got the 850 E-Tech Turbo R, water injection, keeps that sled running cool. I know most of our audience is more familiar with the Summit lineup. 850 Turbo R has been out for a little while, and we don't have the water injection on our stuff. It's primarily for low elevation and for trail, and we'll have a guest on here to explain how that works a little more. And with the new 2025 backcountries, you've got two front ends available. You got the brand new RS front end. You've got a new ski, a lot of new geometry there, a new track. And if you're old school and you want the narrower front end, 39-inch front end, you can still get that as well. Let's bring in our guest here to help us go over all the 2025s, particularly the cool new Backcountry XRS. Welcome to the show, Charles Gagne. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Ryan. Thanks for having me on that show.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to have you here. This is fun to do. We did one of these a couple weeks ago with Carl Kuster and Steve Martin. It's fun to have you. You're a Skidoo ambassador. You spend a ton of time on the new product, and like you were telling me a minute ago, most of the photos of the 2025 with the backcountry and the crossovers are you, right, from the Skidoo photo shoots?
Yeah, I got to ride the Backcountry X-RS while shooting the 2025 models. Yeah.
All right. So you're located in Eastern Canada, and before the 2025 Skidoo launch, I really had no idea really what your terrain was like. But after getting a chance to go out there, mid-February, Bruce Curbs and I went out, and we actually got to ride kind of in, I guess it's your backyard. You've got some cool terrain out there.
You went. Yeah, I think you went northern part of Montreal, which is it's called the Laurentides, which is from where I live, from my home. It's probably 5 to 6 hour drive, so it's not really backyard. But,
oh, no kidding. Okay.
It's yeah. So where you rode was kind of low elevation mountains.
Yeah.
Where I get to ride them, where I get to spend most of my time is also like low elevation mountains, but we get 1,000 meter or somewhere between 800 and 1,000 meter mountains.
So yeah,
there's a pretty good difference in when it comes to weather. Yeah.
So you have more snow throughout the season, kind of a longer season, I imagine.
Oh yeah, I go around with sleds 6 months per year. Yeah, it's half a year that I'm in sled mode.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Yeah, so that sounds like prime country for the backcountry. And I know the backcountry model it's a crossover, and for us in the West, we're out on the opposite side of the continent from you, out in Idaho. We ride Montana, Wyoming, Utah a ton, and the backcountry for me seems like a good sled if I'm not really doing like hardcore mountain riding anymore, and I want to ride some trails. I want to ride the open spots when I come to them. I want to go through deep snow, do a little bit of tree riding, but primarily I'm just cruising the trails out here in the West. Backcountry seems like a great machine for that. It sounds like it's a good fit for your area too.
Oh yeah. It is, and you would be surprised where this thing takes you. The thing with that specific segment, which is hybrid or call it like a multi-segment, is like when it started, it wasn't much of a thing because it wasn't doing, let's say back in 2010, let's say it wasn't doing like everything perfectly. It was doing some things like good, but not when you got into the deep snow. You were lacking when you were trailing a little harder. You were lacking performance, on a lot of aspects. But this machine, the Backcountry, since it got on the Gen 5 platform, um, it's a weapon. It's a weapon. It can do a lot of stuff, and it's able to go off trail really easily, and it can bring you where you need to go.
Yeah, and that's one thing I learned while we were out there in Montreal riding is, you look at the lineup and you look at the MXZ, specifically the MXZ X-RS, and you feel like, okay, this is like as close as I'm going to get to a production snowcross sled. Big bumps, like fast, handles awesome. And then the backcountry, you're like, oh, that looks a little more like a trail sled than a race sled, but they're really similar. I mean, the backcountry is just a little longer track, deeper lug version of the MXZ X-RS for the most part.
Exactly. If you stay in the 146 lane, you have access to a couple of track selection. But if it was for me, if I wanted to, let's say a specific customer is looking for the perfect 50/50 sled in the Backcountry XRS, he would have to choose the 39 front end if he wants a real like 50/50 sled. But if he wants to go with if his type of riding is more oriented on the trail aspect of things, he can choose with the 43 inches E-stance in the front and stay in the 146 track length, which is a pretty cool package if you're more in the 80/20 type of use, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And you know what? We spent time that day. We were out there with Fred Desjardins, who's the product manager for Skidoo, and
Yep.
we
Yep.
spent time riding, the trails that are you're probably more used to. They're different than the Western trails. They were really windy and up and over hills and kind of icy corners. It was a lot of fun. And we used to race. I used to race snowcross, cross country, hill climb way back in the day. So I'm used to going fast on trails and all that. That's kind of a lot of Western heritage as well. But I preferred the backcountry over the MXZXRS just because I think of the longer
Oh yeah,
track, and it just,
I agree with you. Yeah.
yeah, it felt at home. It was such a fun sled to just get out there and rip on it.
And also, did you rode the Storm 150?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, that track is pretty versatile. That's what I would use to describe it. The fact that it has like an inch and a half in the middle, and the lug are scoop shaped in the middle, and the lug on the side of the track are an inch and a quarter, and they are harder and stiffer. So it with all that put together, it gives the best versatility to when it comes to track selection. It digs really well in the loose stuff, and as soon as you step on the harder, like hard pack surfaces, you get very decent performances out of this track.
Yeah, one thing I noticed on that Storm 150 is on cornering, you could really throw the rear end of that sled around. You kind of break it and
Oh
slide
yeah.
into a corner
Oh,
and come
oh yeah.
into it hot.
When you hit the brake, that's what you mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yes. It's pretty playful track. Yep.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a longer track. And, 146 isn't necessarily a long track anymore, especially on our side of the continent, but it didn't handle in the corners like a long track, but it had a traction advantage over the MXZ. Now, granted, the MXZ didn't have any metal in the track. There were, didn't have any studs or anything in it. I'm sure when you do that, it's a different ballgame, but the backcountry was awesome with that Storm 150.
Yeah, I really enjoy riding in trails a 146 over a 129 or a 137. I'm sorry, just because of the bridge effect in between bumps, and also the extra traction you get coming out of the corner.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, the
like
bridge effect. Yeah, definitely.
mhm. Yeah,
Hey, let's talk a minute about the new front end. So the Raz RX front suspension, this is found on the MXZ as well as the Backcountry X-RS. This comes from the race sled technology. It's not necessarily the same front end. The spindles are different, geometry is a little bit different, but this is really close to what's found on the race sled. It's an all new front end. It takes the ski stance out from 39 inches to 43 inches. Now, like you said, you can still get the 39 inch if you want. There's both versions offered. But this Raz RX front end, it's got a taller spindle. The lower A arm is a
exactly. Yeah,
little more off the ground. Talk about the advantages there and what you feel, because you've got way more seat time on this than I do.
and also there's the new spindle. There's the new, like, obviously 43 ski stands. They also revised the sway bar, so it handles a little more predictable in the corner.
So
So,
if I understand
but
that right, the sway bar has a little bit different rate, so it reacts. I don't know how to say it. It has more of an impact on your ride initially, but then it kind of goes away so that when you're in uneven bumps, the skis can come up
yeah,
independently.
to put it in an easy way, it let the suspension work the right way
Yeah, so you get the benefits of
when
a
it
sway
gets
bar in
when it
cornering, but you don't. It doesn't hamper you on bumps.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
So
so the relationship between that suspension and the ski is pretty awesome. It's the first time since I ride with Ski-Doo that I'm like able to say that we got a very versatile ski that can, you know, kind of be good in most situations. It's not a ski made for like to hold the edge in the backcountry. Let's say if you're side hilling or something, it's not a ski that's made for that. But the ski definitely floats really well, works really well in the loose stuff, and has absolutely no disadvantage when it comes to hard pack.
So what is
So
it
it's
about that
kind of
ski? So this is the Pilot RX ski you're talking about that only comes with the Raz RX 43-inch front end. What is it about that ski that
yeah.
makes it do that stuff?
So the Pilot RX has a double kill, and it's double kill design. So it's a kind of a progressive kill design, and it's longer also. The kill is longer. So the more surfaces you add to a ski on the ground, the more floating you get out of it. So the double kill design brings a lot more performance in the and more different type of snow and different type of trails and different type of snow conditions all around.
And so in your neck of the woods, this before the Raz RX front end and before the Pilot RX ski, how big
Yep.
of a leap forward is this front end for you?
Like I said, the this combo specifically, like if you go for a 146 with the 43 inches ski stance, is specifically designed for the guy who uses that sled for 80-20 application. So 80% trail, 20% off trail. So that would be like the sweet spot or sweet way of seeing that combo.
Right. Let me ask you this, Charles. So, I mean,
Yep.
I'm a mountain rider. We ride 34-inch front ends and 36-inch front ends.
Yep.
So
Yep.
when we start talking chassis roll and ski lift on cornering,
Yep.
that's a big problem out here. But man, when we rode this Raz RX front end, it was like driving a car. Like it didn't roll or didn't tip up at all. What? How big of a factor is that in the kind of riding that you're talking about?
Well, the thing is, when you go for multi-segment sled like this one, you're letting a little bit on the trail side, and letting a little bit of performances also on the off trail aspect of things. But if you go with a 43 inches, you will for sure be glued to the trail. It's I don't know how to put it, but it's glued to the trail. When you're riding, the more fast you get, the more clear it gets, right? You can feel it like sticking to the trail. It's pretty awesome to feel.
Right, and I'll speak to anybody out there listening that's just a pure mountain rider, especially if you've only been mountain riding for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years or less, and you do a little bit of trail on your mountain sled on the way to the mountains. If you think
Yep.
about going and doing some trail riding for a day, that doesn't sound like a ton of fun on a mountain sled, but I'm telling you, man, if you jump on this Backcountry X-RS and take this thing out, there's no
You're
effort.
right there.
It's not
Yeah.
hard. It does not handle anything like a mountain sled. Like if you want to go explore the West and check out all the trails that the West has to offer, do it on a
Yeah.
backcountry because it's such a great ride experience. You can rail down these trails like you're saying, and you can race through these corners, and the front end just stays flat, and you just turn. You don't have to
Yeah.
lean, and
Yeah.
you don't have to counter the inside ski lifting and all that. It just turns, and it absorbs bumps as it does that, and it's just such a different ride experience, and it's honestly a lot of fun.
And to be honest, like I wasn't like very appealed by the backcountry in the past year, right? But since it got out there on the Gen 5 platform, like everything changed. Now it's a trail weapon. Now it handles really well off trail, like a Gen 4 Summit. Like I would say, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, we didn't have that
And
opportunity to do that, but I could see that. I could see this thing being a lot of fun off trail even.
oh yeah, it is. And the fact that it uses a double steering rack, like they came back with a steering rack on the backcountry.
Hmm.
It like the precision of the direction, and the control is pretty high on that machine. It is not in the XRS version. It is not a sled that will give you an ease of driving. It's a very sport oriented type of sled, if I could say. But it's definitely a very precise machine, which is most of the rider are looking for.
Yeah, and a precise machine, and it doesn't matter if the trail is smooth or moguls or square edge ice
Or
bumps or
nasty, yeah.
ruddy. Yeah, like it's got more
Yep.
precision than anything I've ridden um, on hard pack kind of conditions. Looking at some of the points here, you got 20% less chassis roll than the 39-inch front end, or 20% less chassis roll. You got more steering precision and big bumps. You got the industry best suspension capacity, so the most suspension travel. So much so that the new Raz RX front end has a curved upper A arm, so that it can kind of clear the bodywork as it goes through its full suspension travel.
Yes.
I mean, there's just so
Yeah.
much bump absorption available with this sled. It's
It's
just really impressive.
it's a sports sled, but it's kind of as soon as it gets a little more nasty in the trail and more bumpy and hardcore, that's where it shines, especially the XRS, right? But one thing I would love to see, so that specific sled, I would love to see the user here in the East, or even in the western part of the U.S., or even people that would consider it. I would like to see a lot more people on that sled, just because of the versatility of the setup. Most of the person that owns a cabin needs to they need to pull something, right? They need to tow a sleigh. They need to go around and commute from the truck all the way to the cabin. Sometimes they need to groom. They need to have a two-up seat. They need to go on a trail adventure one day. They need to go on a off-trail adventure the other day. and that's really the perfect sled because the cooling capacity is a little more important in these sleds because they use long tunnel. They're not short tunnel, and the track selection makes it a sled a little easier to cool down. So it would be a lot more easy for the users to have a sled like this instead of a full-on off-trail sled like a Summit.
Oh, I believe you 100%.
Which the track are not made to use on a hard pack. The ski stance is not adapted also. The seat is not comfortable for trail riding. There's a lot of features that are on the backcountry, just like the control on the handlebar. The more plush, the seat is a lot more plush and comfortable than a Summit. So overall, the customer that considered that machine would benefit a lot more and get a lot more of that product compared to a Summit.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned a couple times.
Also, Ryan,
oh, sorry, Charles.
And also, I'm sorry. And also, it's really fast.
So that's what I'm getting to. Yeah, it's exactly what I'm getting to. You kept saying this thing is a weapon, and it's a weapon because it's got the 850 E-Tech Turbo R.
Yeah, and it's fast, and the gear ratio is different from an off-trail machine, right?
Yeah.
So it goes faster. Yeah.
And so for
one thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say for mountain riders, we love the 850 E-Tech Turbo R because it gives you sea level horsepower at 10,000 feet elevation. But having the E-Tech Turbo R on a trail sled, it just makes this thing a rocket. And like you said, it's got a little taller gearing. It's just so fast. It's so quick out of the corners. Like if you took an older 2-stroke engine and you tried to modify it and do everything you possibly could to just make it a flat out trail rocket, like something that was like a snowcross mod sled type thing, this is still going to kick its butt. Yeah. This thing is absolutely faster and quicker and more responsive.
And reliable.
That's yeah, definitely. Reliable and has a warranty.
It's the good. Yeah, exactly. It's and the one thing that's pretty cool also this year, you can have the big screen with the shot starter, which was not the case last year. But this year you can have a NA non-turbo, or you can have a turbo model with the shot and the big screen.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty cool. You're not forced to go with the electric starter. Yep.
Yeah. And that big screen this year also has, we're talking about the 10.25 inch color touchscreen display, has built-in GPS for 2025. So you don't have to plug your phone into it anymore to track your ride or see your GPS maps. You can download maps directly to it. Really cool update for 2025. Talking about the 850 E-Tech Turbo R, so one big difference that the Turbo R version in the Backcountry has over the Turbo R version in the Summits is the MXZ in the Backcountry use water injection, and that's kind of a process used to cool the intake charge air. And people probably think, well, that's water methanol, right? Well, the methanol is only in there to keep the water from freezing. It's just basically water injection, makes the air more dense, controls the temperature in the cylinder, things that a mountain snowmobile doesn't need. Like we would never need water injection at high elevation on a mountain sled, but it's the most efficient way to make power and control temperatures on trail sleds.
Well, at one point it could benefit on a Summit, but for very little amount of riders. The feature on that, like the big thing about the water injection is that it will keep the engine cool even after pulling hard like 10 times in a row, right? Mm-hmm. And it cools down really good when you keep it pinned, like let's say on a lake or on a long stretch, or that's where it comes into play. It's for the long pull.
And a mountain sled is throwing more snow into the tunnel, so you're relying on your coolant to control engine temperature, which on a mountain sled is generally more efficient in deep snow. But yeah, like you say, I mean, it's consistent power. It doesn't fade because of the water injection system. No matter how long you're on the throttle, it's just, man, it's the most impressive power package I've felt on a crossover sled. It's just a blast.
Yeah, most of the like the guys that are into car modifying, car tuning, and everything. That's what they use, right? If they don't have if they don't have the room to add like a oil cooler or something like that, they go for water injection, right?
Right.
Because it's small device and it does the job.
Yeah, and it does a better job, I think, than an intercooler. You know, some people might ask why not use an intercooler. Well, it's not because they didn't want to. It's because this is a superior system for as well as it's designed, and that's the cool thing. You talked about reliability. This is a turnkey
Yeah,
turbocharged two-stroke engine that doesn't have any hiccups, doesn't have any problems. It's just a rocket ship, and it comes with a
yeah,
warranty.
and we haven't seen, yeah, exactly, and we haven't seen like uh, more problems on turbo compared to NA sled. It's the same engine with the turbo, right? And it's pretty impressive how much mileage guys put on these 850 turbo. So it's very fun. One thing very important to mention, I think, is it's in these sleds, especially in the MXZ and the Backcountry X-RS, like this one, when for the water injection, please use the product which is the product that XPS does. It's not like windshield washer like I heard or anything like that. There are anti-foaming agents in the product, so it's very important to use the product that XPS does in that tank.
Yeah, don't use the old water methanol stuff you have around from your diesel performance days. Totally different stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've talked about, the Storm 150 track that wraps around the
Yeah,
C Motion X rear suspension, and that rear suspension is designed just for crossover. It's different than the MXZ. It's different than the Summit. And coming from a mountain rider's aspect, coming into your world, Charles, it's so cool
yeah.
how controlled the transfer is on these crossover sleds. Like the weight shifts back,
So smooth, eh?
the skis
Yeah,
come
so
off the
smooth.
ground a little bit, and you just drive. And then the second you let off to set up into a corner, all the weight comes back onto the skis, and you have full control. It's amazing.
Yeah, yeah. The trail rider is looking for that hard pull acceleration, like full on with the track, like the full length of the track on the ground, and then you want that weight to shift forward to get your skis back for turning efficiently. And this sled does it really good. Yeah.
Yeah. Some other.
And there's the XRS, right? But also like the backcountry lineup is pretty complete. It has the X model, it has the Adrenaline, and it has the Sport model. So the backcountry has 4 options in the lineup.
Yeah, yeah. And if I'm looking at this though, man, I'm running to my dealer right now, and I'm putting money down on an XRS. I want the piggyback adjustable shocks. I
Yeah.
want the 850 Turbo R. Like that was such a fun experience. I would give up days on the mountain to go ride trails if I had one of these. Uh, you know, the,
Last year I had a 146
yeah,
um, XRS, and this year I've ordered a 154 just to see like the difference and
yeah,
to like and then being able to talk about it. And the 2-inch track 154 is a pretty good package also.
yeah.
And
That'd be a
you
lot of
would
fun.
be surprised how good it still is in the trail. It's very, very, very good. It always depends on the area where you ride, right? Like people will lie. Will people? You can have a 154 track with smaller lug. You can have a 146 track with smaller lug, or you can go with studs. You can go without studs. So that's the cool thing about the backcountry lineup. There's a backcountry that can fit your needs.
Yeah.
It's like
If I'm looking at
it's
the
the most
specs right,
it's the most complete lineup I've seen in a
yeah.
while.
Absolutely. If I'm looking at the specs right on the Backcountry X-RS, you can get up to what you're saying, a 154 by 16 track with 2.5 inch lugs. Same track that comes on like a Summit 154 if you bought it with the 2.5.
It's a 286 driver.
Okay.
2.86 driver in the front. So it's the same track that would be on a free ride.
Oh yeah, the free ride. Yeah, the 286 pitch free ride.
One. Yeah.
Yeah. So
but 16 inches instead of 15. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about ski stance and ultimately what you would be building if you were going to go order one of these, Charles. Like if you got online right now to spring check one of these 2025 XRS backcountries, how are you configuring it?
Yes. So one really important thing to know is that you can't have a 154 turbo. So if you want a turbo, you got to stick with the 146.
Okay. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. So if you want the turbo, for me, that I've placed my order last week, and I've ordered a 146 with a 2-inch track with a 39 front end.
Okay. I think I'm going a little different than you, Charles. I'm going to go with the 146 with the 850 E-Tech Turbo R with the 150 track and the 43-inch front end. Like I've got my narrow front end on my mountain sleds if I need that. I want that 43 for just a dedicated trail cruising day.
So can you tell me again what will be your pick?
I would do the XRS, the 850 E-Tech Turbo R with water injection, and I'm going with the 43-inch front end Raz RX, and I'm going with the 146 track with the Storm 150.
Yeah.
And I'm just keeping that in the trailer.
Just like on the magazine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And I would just keep that in the trailer, and I'd have three mountain sleds in the trailer, and then this backcountry sitting in the corner, and I'd spend a day a week on the backcountry just exploring and doing different stuff.
Get it. To be honest, I've ordered that sled. It's in the turbo version also. So turbo R, 39 front end, 2-inch track, but I have ordered a 2.5-inch, 15-inch wide track to put on.
Oh, cool. God, that'll be a lot of fun. All right, Charles.
It needs to be a little. It needs to be to be used as a backup sled if anything goes wrong on a trip or something.
Yeah, there you go. Can't go wrong with that.
Yep.
All right, Charles. Fun talking with you about this stuff, man. Like the backcountry was just such a fun ride experience out there in Montreal. I would love to get more time out on one of these out west. Even we used to ride and race trails so dang much like 20 years ago. We don't do it quite as much as we used to, mainly because modern mountain sleds just aren't as fun on the trails as they used to be. But everybody, if you're listening, if you're interested in this Backcountry XRS, you've got until April 2nd to get your spring check order in. You can go online, you can customize your order, pick your colors. You've got flare yellow and black, and then you've got an all black edition. You can pick some accessories, your track, your ski stance, all the things we talked about, and then send that order on to your dealer. You got to get that in by April 2nd, though, so you've got a few days left, but you better hurry up and get this order in.
Oh, yeah. And one thing, the website is pretty easy to go around with, and it gives you a code at the end when you're done customizing it. So you can use that code to go to your dealer and purchase it.
All right, awesome. Yeah, lots of accessories to pick from as well. All right, Charles, we'll let you go. Appreciate your time on this. Always fun to learn more about other snowmobiles and talk to guys that are experts on it. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks to you, Ryan, and thanks to Snow West.